And of course, I know you answered the post, the call. I should call it the call, not the post that Morgan put out. It's time. It's time. You know, it really is. It's time. All of you have so much to offer through your stories. It's going to take a couple of minutes to get things going here. We've got one person in
take
the
your
house.
time. Is there anything that I need to do, or
No, you're fine. I'm just going to play the intro real quick and give people time to come in. So we'll be right back with Winnie Lui, a beautiful, beloved, brave sister that we're going to get to know each other in front of everybody. So, you know, you can't do better than putting someone on the spot. We'll be right back.
Okay.
What's happening, everybody? Second show of the day, second of 3. I don't know how I'm going to make it. I woke up feeling great. I had a whole night of purging. I thought I wet the bed. I kept waking up every hour, and I kept moving from one part of the bed to the rest, but I knew it was purging. Today's September 1st, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. And, well, I guess maybe in the other too. No. But you know, it's all good. I mean, it's all great. And I have an amazing first show, and I know we're going to have an amazing second, third one. The Divine Feminine's rising. The Mother Goddess is home. She's rising in all of us. And I don't care what our beloved brothers and sisters playing the antagonist roles put out there. There is no match for the presence that's being recognized and honored and respected and loved. And by virtue of that, the power of it is permeating in all of us and expanding. So I just want to welcome you to the program, and thank you for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. This is about you, and wherever you want to start is fine with me, because my job's getting easier and easier. All I got to do is listen. You know, but it's good to meet you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where do I begin? Well, let's just begin about a couple of hours ago. I was moving through some things because I live in Toronto, and we just had some rather colorful announcements very recently. So I'm still processing through that. And going back to 2 days ago, I have a new entity that came to visit me, because I think I would say right around 2014, that's when it actually started. Was like, I think by the end of 2013, I was in meditation. I heard some voice that tells me what my role is in this lifetime, telling me that I'm here to hold in a certain vibration, a certain energy. And then I was like, okay, well, it's nice. Thank you for the intro. But then I don't know how to make of it, because I was in the spiritual world, and I'm working. I love energy. I've been learning energy, healing, and all that. And then all of a sudden, it came to another level. Is that starting in 2014? That's when every time when I would go to bed, I lay my head down in my bed. That's when I start to feel my head just spinning around. And at first, all I felt was just, very peaceful, beautiful feeling. It's like I was in heaven. I think that's the best way of describing it. It was such beautiful energy that I've never experienced. And up until that time, when I every time I go to bed, it's like, this is happening, this is wonderful. So after a while, I don't just get the feeling. I actually started hearing these voices talking to me, and they were telling me, "Oh, we love you. You're beautiful. You're doing great." And so all these beautiful things, and I was like, okay, that's nice. And then I share this with my friends, and then actually one of my friend Lucy was on recently on your show recently, and then so Lucy was like, well, did you ask who they are? And I was like, oh, I never even thought of asking, because I was like, it was such a beautiful, wonderful, magnificent feeling that I really don't want to ask too many questions, because if I try to be too critical, maybe they don't come back. So at first that was my reasoning. I was just enjoying the moment. And then when I started thinking, okay, maybe I should ask, because they're sharing my bed, so might as well ask.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be a good idea.
It would be nice to ask. So I started asking, and then they said that they were Pleiadians, and then the Pleiadians came to talk to me for a little while, and then the Arcturians started to coming to talk to me, and I felt the energy a little different. Each of the different entities that come talk to me, and then after maybe about 2 or 3 months, that's when it started getting more serious. In that, all of a sudden, they said that they are the Federation, Galactic Federation. So they come talk to me, and they said, well, we want to take you for an initiation. And I was like, okay, but I'm okay. I'm okay to go, but on one condition. I want to actually feel it. I want to know what's going on. I don't want to, just be wiped out, and then it happened, and then I have no idea what happened. So that was my one condition, and I said, okay, well, as long as that I would have a conscious awareness of what's happening, then I'm good to go, because somehow I just trusted them, even though I've never seen any of them. All I've been hearing are just voices, and there's the feeling that I feel. And of course, I asked Franco about it. I was Franco Di Nicola. He's in close to our neck of the woods. Mm-hmm. So I was asking him, "Am I going crazy, or is this really happening?" And he kind of confirmed that, yeah, they are talking to you. They're connecting with you. I think after I heard that, of course, I felt a little bit more, or I should say, a little less apprehensive about it. And so when they asked me to go for the initiation, I was just saying, okay, go for it. And so they took me for the initiation, which I'm not going to share because it's a very private moment. So I don't want to share the details of that. And then, so a lot of intense things were happening to my life at the time. That was right around 2012. That's when I learned a lot about, the money system. The government is all control. I was really having a tough time digesting all of that information, because up until then, I'm 62 now. So that was, at that time, I was 50, maybe around that time. Yeah, around that time. So it's like for the first major half of my life, everything has been quite normal, fairly normal. I wouldn't say absolutely normal. Nothing strange happens. Yes, there's been things that I cannot explain just with 3D world. But it's been the shifts have been minimal enough that I was able to cope with, and all of a sudden at around 2012, that's when the big shifts. It's like all of a sudden it's a flip over. I thought I was having a nice human life, and all of a sudden it was like, no, you've been in a shit show. You just didn't know you were in one. So I had to digest all of that, and at the backdrop of that, there was like during the daytime I was having a tough time making sense of my human life, and then at night I have all these beautiful energies surrounding me, and it was and I think that was at the time where I was being guided to restart my life. So the old life, all of that, even though I've been doing spiritual work and energy healing and all of that, it's like, well, I ain't seen nothing yet.
I think that's the part where they say, oh, by the way, you got to bring the human with you. There always seems to be a correlation between personal revelation and expansion, or we might call it shadow work or the dark nights of the soul, with the with the expansion of our connection to the higher aspects. We'll just put it that way.
Well, it seems like my dark night of the soul has been happening for extra long time.
Well, the lady that was just on was telling me, I'm from north of London, and this is not the affluent area. It's more dense. And I said, I think you could say that for the whole Earth trip. Anyone that's come here, we're not the bourgeois. We probably are, but I mean, we're able to come down.
You're probably royalty. That's why we're here.
Oh, I guarantee it. If we weren't royalty before we got here, we are now, by virtue of our, efforts. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So just going forward, I was having a changeover, and so I think at that time I was really pissed off. I was like so much anger of what the hell, what the kind of earth are we living in now? I think there was so much anger I was grappling with, that what I was guided to do is actually I sold my house. I just stopped working. I actually just went away, left Canada all on for about 5 months. I left Canada. I actually went to Morocco. At that time, I don't know whether you remember the One People's Republic.
One People's Republic. Why does that sound familiar? What is that?
Heather, I forgot her last name. So they started.
Go ahead.
So they started they started this talk show. Heather did not start it. Brian.
I remember now. I remember. Yes.
Yeah. So they started talking about it, and they actually were talking about. They were bringing in Tesla's technology, all of that, in a place in Morocco, a very remote place in Morocco called Ashtam. And at the time was listening to it, and I needed to leave Canada. No particular place that I have in the mind. Why don't I go there? So I actually went. I just sold everything, got some money, so I just booked a ticket, left town, and went to Morocco, Ashtam. and stayed there for a couple of months. I stayed there for 5 months, and really, it was really to distance myself and to be in a completely different neck of the world, and that was when like more of the my Arcturian guides and Pleiadian guides were just working with me to assist me in letting go of this anger and starting to make sense of my human journey. So I think when I was in Morocco, I don't know whether it's because Toronto is so dense, but in Morocco, I'm not saying that it's not dense, but somehow because I'm foreign in this lifetime anyways, foreign to that place. So I didn't really feel any of that. I didn't felt any of that at all. So there are really strange things going on. It's like all of a sudden I would get a message, okay, now go to a certain place right now. Don't stop. Don't wait 10 minutes. Just go there. And the whole incident was I had some clothes that I gave to someone to wash for me. But every time I go there to get my clothes back, it's like they're closed. The shop is closed. So I'm not really accustomed, because in Toronto, 9 to 5, it's business time. As long as you go within that period of time, then people are open for business. But not in Morocco. They would close shop whenever they feel like it. So I never was able to get in sync with them. And so when I got that message, I went there. That the lady who had my clothes all washed and stuff was actually just waiting for a taxi to leave town. Wow. So it was like perfect timing. I was there. Even if I were a minute later, I would have missed it. And who knows when or if I ever going to get my clothes back. And I was, I don't know how many miles away from home. So yeah, I kind of like my clothes. That would be nice. So things like that. So these things like that, I would get messages. I need to do something. I need to listen to this or look at this particular video. So all these things I think that was me being trained to just be able to live at a different level, where it's no longer logic and thinking. It's just, okay, when spirit says, you go do it and then see what happens. Maybe spirit would tell you to go into kind of a dead end place, or maybe not. So you just have to trust. I think it's really developing that trust. When I'm not anywhere near my home or anywhere that I'm familiar with, that's when I really need to rely on that trust. And it all works out. Because when I was there, the reason why I got there was because they were talking about building a community there, but it was not timing. There was no community. So when I got there, that's when I actually saw the situation and know, okay, this is not happening. But then it just so happened that there was another Canadian lady, Sawa is her name, and she speaks Arabic. So she was my lifeline, because I don't speak the language. In Morocco, I think some of them, a very small minority of them, would understand French, and I know just a little bit of French from my Canadian background. So that was. Besides that, I was completely being thrown into a very different culture, don't even understand the language, and I just have to rely on the universe to take care of me, and I made it out. So that was really the training part of it.
That was pretty. Somebody said something about the size of your ovaries a minute ago. As in the courage, but to do that, and of course we've heard this 3,000 shows. We've heard this, a lot of this, because a lot of the people that first started to comprise these communities were, I'd say, between 40 and 60, 45, 65. So there was these radical life changes. They're still going on today. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've never really thought about it or heard somebody present that these little things like go pick up your wash or your laundry or go do this or go do that, the little things were training us to follow the guidance. Yeah.
Yep, it's in the little things that will really build up for the bigger things, which came afterwards.
Oh, it did. See, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, then you get the big things, right? The things that make no sense at all, and everyone tells you you're crazy. So I guess
Oh
those
yeah,
little
oh
the
yeah.
little training help.
That's a lot of that. That's a
So
lot of that.
what happened? Because I mean, uh, you seem you seem very real, very human. But yeah, you're telling the stories of your connection, your communion with infinite intelligence, whatever its faces are, and you seem not to be affected egoically. Like
Oh,
wow.
I was affected egoically.
Well, I wanted
Big
to ask, but
time.
I didn't want to be presumptuous.
It
No, go
was
ahead.
a big time. Yeah, I was. And I'm still being affected now, and it's no like much smaller now because the ego is still there. It's much smaller, but I just mentioned that I got triggered just hours before I came onto this call.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yep,
That's,
because we're gonna have the. I'm trying to say it carefully, so not to mention certain words.
you can.
It's we're
I
gonna
mean,
have a
yeah.
passport situation here. So
Yeah, I
I think
just watched the show and actually shared it onto my page for not to point that out, but yeah. So you got triggered
yeah,
because of that.
that was a bit of trigger, but I know I still have to work through that, but it's going to be okay,
Yeah.
and I know that as well. It's I think at first I was being thrown on the deep end when they took me from Toronto all the way to and you have to imagine that I'm a Chinese girl, Chinese woman. No matter what age I'm at, I still have that morphic field to draw on, and it's not something that a regular Chinese woman would do is just sell everything and go over to Morocco to join some group that I only heard on the on Zoom or some. It's
Really?
like, oh, okay, I didn't even tell my family that that's what I'm doing, because if I told my mom that's what I'm doing, she's gonna ground me. She's gonna chain me up. So that's what but that was I was really at that point in life where I don't give a damn what's going to happen. I just want to get out of here, and so like I was at that point where there's a cliff and I'm ready to jump off. So
Yeah.
and and I jumped off. And then when I came back to Toronto a couple of months later, it's like nothing changed in Toronto, but I was still I still had some anger issues to work through. So I was not ready to stay in Toronto. So I think next I went to Spain for a couple of months, and more of that. I think Spain was really the turning point. Beautiful place in Spain. It's close to Granada. It was this outskirt of Granada in Spain. So it was really beautiful space. And I did I did an exchange where I would work for a couple of hours each day, and I have room and board in exchange. So that was I was working at a yoga spa for about 3 months, and it was really beautiful. I think that being that close to nature, that I was like, for the 3 months I was sleeping. At first I was sleeping in a van, like one of those like small van that only fits 2 people. And then the last 2 months, I was sleeping in a tent, one of those round, not a yurt, but it's a tent, and it was like, it was not a solid building, and that was the most beautiful 2 months.
And it had, and of course, it had indoor plumbing as well, didn't it?
It had indoor, yeah.
That's what I keep telling people. Like, oh, I know you love nature and you're organic, and let's go camping. I'm like, if you take a porta potty, I'll go, but otherwise, I'm not. You know?
No. The tent was like, they have this. Absolutely, they have a house there. They actually have a house there where the guests would stay. It's just that I'm not the guest. I'm just the helper. So I get to sleep in a tent. But the tent was really beautiful. Yeah. Like it's a I do have to share my tent with some geckos. And who knows what kind of.
At least you'll have car insurance with the geckos. Wow, this is amazing. It's amazing, and then listening to you about the the little things that were your training, and then hearing you about the present situation and what you were triggered about two hours ago. To me, it's the same thing. It looks like the same thing, right? Like you were exposed to your personal freedom, which is really your natural state. And you know how people talk about, oh, I shifted and then I went back, and I shifted and I went back. It's like we have a foot in both worlds. You know what I mean? And maybe this is the big test for all of us, is what you're talking about, what you've experienced.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. Yeah. So Spain, I think, was the turning point. I think because, well, in my past life, I've been to Spain. Like, even in my past life, I've been to Morocco, because the Berbers, actually, the Berbers talked to me telepathically. The morphic field of that group was talking to me. I was like, what's going on? Who is this talking to me? These crazy things. And then when I was in Spain, there are places I went to. I do not consciously remember, but there is this physical remembrance that I've been there before. So I think that was like all these. I was not led to places that I've never been to. Like, I was being, I would say, guided to places where I had been, and I'm just revisiting them now. And by the revisiting, it actually brought a lot of those memories back into my cellular body. I may not have the conscious remembrance to be able to figure it out, but I can feel that in my body. And then the last place I was in was Italy, and when I was walking through the Vatican, it was like, I've been here before. I remember I've walked these streets, and I went to Sicily as well, and I met this host who she does not speak English. I don't speak Italian, and we were just trying to talk to each other through Google Translate. It was hilarious, but I have the cell memory that I've met this person before, because every time I was close to her, I just have this overwhelming sense of wellness. Like, and I'm not saying that, and I'm not lesbian. It's like, I'm not into women at all. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just that when I was close to her, I can feel that love, and I don't know where it came from. And when I came back here, I asked Franco, and Franco was saying, oh, you two had many lives before, and you two actually came here and you do a lot of different things. You've cooperated before. That's why you have that memory, even though this time around you guys didn't even meet until now. But that was what. So it's like, I can't, like, I understand now that I don't have to trust my memory, my conscious memory, but I can trust my body, because my body kind of have this intelligence that my mind have no knowledge of. So all these things was just, every little bit of them just starting to push me further and further away from the, I would say, the box about what being a human being is supposed to be. Like, I'm being pushed out of that, and more. So should I go on? Or you have some question to ask?
No, I'm wait a minute. There's an echo. Test. Keep talking.
I didn't hear anything, any echo.
It's feedback.
Oh, okay.
No, it stopped. No, I think this is fantastic. I mean, there's so much being said here. Right up to what you started with, which is you got triggered 2 hours ago by an announcement that was just made about what do they call them? Domestic vaccine passports. I mean, I'm not afraid to say this stuff. They've knocked us off, but we're not going to talk derogatory. We're just talking facts. So
it's a fact. Yes,
it's a fact. So I mean,
hours ago.
Yeah, and I've seen some other stuff. You know what I found interesting, just on that note, not to discuss this, but Vladimir Putin came out yesterday and on a national broadcast and said, "We will never enforce vaccinations. We are a sovereign country, and people have the right to work." I thought that was pretty cool. Like, wow, here we got a little voice of rationality.
I think Putin's place is really yanking our feet. It's like they are giving more, I don't know, quote unquote, freedom to their people than our government is giving us.
Well, that's the whole thing with all these comparisons and everything. You know what? I just wrote a piece. I just wrote a little byline, and I explained that this is not to create division, but to welcome the distortion. We no longer have to wake people up. The distortion will take care of it for us. And the closest ideology to 5D is anarchy, right? And I said, you bet it's coming. Down goes everything for the rise of the mighty soul. Anarchy is a society being freely constituted without authorities or a governing body. There is no hierarchy. So my point is, in making any kind of expression like that, is really being experienced and told in your story, because welcome the distortion, because the distortion is going to be what drives us to our full awareness, our natural nature, whatever you want to call it. But it's built into your story. Like it's coded in your story, which is fantastic. And so you went to Spain, and you said it really happened in Spain. What happened there? Was it meeting her?
I think meeting her was in Italy, and so.
Oh, that was it. Okay, I get confused.
That was Italy. No, I think it's just another layer. When I was in Italy, my plan was actually next to go to France, but I couldn't. For the life of me, I cannot find a place that I can go to, and I was like, "What's going on?" And actually, like even when I was in Italy, I have someone who is checking in on me, working with me remotely on just tuning me up energetically, because I had arranged with someone to do that. And Julianne was her name. So Julianne actually talked to Franco about it, and between the two of them, they actually figured out it was because I had a walk-in. So my soul left to get an upgrade somewhere, have an experience somewhere. So my walk-in, I actually felt a little, I would say, dumber or more stupid. It's not as easy for me to let things slide. Whereas, usually I'm pretty chill and not too much would upset me too much. Okay, yeah, I'll claim that. I'm not 100%.
But see, that's the
think
beauty.
that's true. That's necessarily true.
That's the beauty of your energy, though. That's what I was talking about. Was your ego ever challenged? I didn't mean was it challenged like did it send up the red flag and start screaming? I meant with the way your story started with these, and has continued with, like, for instance, the Pleiadians coming in, the Arcturians coming in, like part of the process for some people seems to be, because we see it every day, is, wow, look at me. Look at what I can do. Look at who I talk to. And you start to think that you're pretty smart within yourself. And of course, that's also a great setup for the dark night of the soul, because the universe comes in and swats you.
And I think for the longest time, and even now, I have to really check myself. My ego is really ask myself, okay, is this for my ego, or is it for myself? So because the next thing was that after I came back to Toronto and really sort out my life, because I left. I basically left, but I did not quite resolve anything. I just cleared myself enough so that I can come back to do the real work on really clearing out all the other programs. So when I came back, I started I have to start to do that, really to it was like my whole life is just in shambles. So I have to start to go from step one. Okay, I have to do this. Step to find a place to live. Step two. So it was like that. And then that was and then I think 2018, now moving up to 2018, there's an entity that showed up in my room, because most of them I just talked to. I never, they talk to me. I talk to them sometimes. I never seen any of them. But this time I can see this entity was in my bedroom. I was in the house by myself, and my housemates were all gone. And I saw this entity in my bedroom, because when I walked into my bedroom, I was my high self or my soul was telling me there's somebody here to see you. I looked around, and I was really looking. It was like, okay, I don't see anybody. I don't know what you're drinking, but I don't see anybody. And then all of a sudden, I was looking at the blinds. Actually, this set of blinds that's behind me, and at night they're closed, so I can actually see that there is a vague outline, a shimmer. And I noticed that, oh, okay, that's the person or that's the entity that's coming to talk to me. I was like, okay, cool. Like I was actually, when I think about it now, it's like, that's so not cool. All of us in the middle of the night, you have an entity. How could I have done? How could I just stay so cool and calm? But at that moment, I was calm and cool, and I said, okay, sure, you want to talk to me? Let me get into bed, because that's usually when I get my best messages. So I just switch off the lights, and I just, okay, talk to me. So it was actually an entity, and I asked for a name, because I don't want to just say entity, because it could be anything. So I asked for a name. So the entity was saying that the name was Kriya. So I could actually see it in my third eye, K-R-I-A. So that was the K-R-I-A, Kriya.
Kriya.
So and so what I got was so Kriya, this entity called Kriya, want me to start channeling this entity, and I was like, okay, let me think about it. So
that's good.
So let me think about it, because we all channel our soul. Mm-hmm. So channeling is like no big deal, but to channel in public, to actually step out there and be the weird one is like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that yet.
The weird one, you're in a group where we're going, well, about time you got to the party. No, I'm kidding. All the crazy people hang out here. The crazy's not crazy anymore.
I know, I'm yeah. But that's what the ego is doing, is you're crazy if you start channeling in public. So that's what the ego is doing. So I was So for 2 days, I was doing everything to not think about it. And then I think on the third day was like, okay, I cannot procrastinate any longer. So I sat down, meditated, and I really got a yes. So yes, it was a big yes too. It was not just a maybe, but it was a big yes. So okay, so I said yes, and so that was one. So then there was really another layer of stepping outside my comfort zone, stepping outside my human life. And so then next year I started channeling Kriya in public, meaning, so for the first couple of months, I actually booked a space and then invited people to come. And I actually put on...
Did you invite your mother too?
Definitely not. I did not even tell my brothers and sisters. And
I have to just crack these jokes. I have to because I have to because there's so much wisdom in the humor, and you have got that down. I mean, like you're telling this. I mean, you're talking about like this. If you'd have been talking about this 10 or 15 years ago openly, they probably would have stuck you in a psych ward.
Yeah, I know.
But there's so many of us now that don't have room.
Yeah. So I remember before the first time, because I did a test run. I just invited people in my home to channel because I want to test it out before I actually go out and do that. So I did that, and was the day before, I think the weekend before I was going to do that, I couldn't get out of bed. I had vertigo or whatever, but like for the whole day I couldn't get out of bed. Every time I sit up, the room just started spinning. So that was interesting to live through. But so that went on, and then I started channeling, and then that's 2019. Of course, you know what happened a little later on, and that's when I have to do all the channeling online, because being in-person channeling is not very feasible.
Are you talking about because of the quarantines?
Yep, because lockdowns and all that. So
you mean the oppression and the we understand that these are energies that are just other mirror aspects of us. We understand that the universe is everything external of us. No, I get it. I'm just making fun because I love the way you tiptoe through the tulips here.
Yes, I'm still trying to tiptoe. And so I think at about the same time when I started to do the channeling in public, Kriya, I did not mention that Kriya is actually part of the Cryon Soul group. So prior to Kriya showing up, Cryon was actually coming to talk to me, and started Cryon of Magnetic Service. I don't know whether you've heard of Cryon.
I'm just trying to figure out. Oh, I know the guy Cryon.
Yeah, Lee Carroll.
Around for Lee Carroll, and then there's Cryon. The planet, the celestial being. Okay,
no, not the planet. It's okay.
So it'd be like, so in other words, it'd be like I have a friend. She occasionally channels Bashar. So similar situation.
Yeah, and at first when Cryon started coming to me, I thought, okay, well, like even for channeling Kriya, I was a little apprehensive because there is already a very famous person who has been channeling Cryon for such a long time. But then, so the work the channeling that I'm doing with Kriya is very different from Cryon. So that was part of it. And then also Cryon, the reason why Cryon started coming to me was because he wants me to start opening portals. So I was like, what? Portals? I don't know how to open portals. What do you mean portals? What are they? So at first, I was like, Cryon would say, don't worry, I'll assist you. So all you have to do is just, be open to do it. So I thought, okay, well, if you say so, I'll trust you. And so I started opening portals, and I didn't know that I can open portal until I can. So there's a certain day, like I would usually usually client would come to me and told me, okay, we want you to open a portal for, and they would give me the name of the portal. Sometimes it's a location, sometimes it's not. So I forgot which one was the first one that I opened. But, so I thought, okay, I don't know how to open portals. So I just did the meditation, and I just, felt that, okay, today is the day I need to open whatever this portal that client says I'm supposed to open. So, but once I actually sat down and set the intention to open a portal, it's like another part of me just took over. And I know that I need to, depends on the portal. Some portals I have to get different parties to agree that, okay, it's time to open this portal. So it's to get agreements. So that's one of the steps before I can actually open the portal. So when I get in touch with the portal, then I get the download on who do I need to ask for agreements in order to open the portal. And then I would just say, okay, now it's open. And then I would ask, so how long do I need to monitor? Because part of my job is to monitor the portal as well. So when I open a portal, I would pull the energy of the portal through my body. And so they would kind of use me to judge how much they need to open the portal or not. Because like if they open the portal is too much and I get dizzy, then yeah, I don't know. So you guys have to adjust the portal. So that was what's opening. That was my role in doing that, is I pull the energy through me. And also when I was talking to Franco, he mentioned that when they do it this way, open the portal, because it passed through my body. So whatever energy that's coming out would be at a level that's much more easily acceptable for other people. So it actually, whatever it is, like I took it's like I took the codes and I interpreted the code at a human level, so that other humans would be able to receive it and benefit from it much easier. So that was my role in opening the portals. So it was like opening portals, channeling, and then at the time I was also doing a podcast, because in the podcast, my podcast is called A New Human Experience, which is I'm just sharing what's going on in my life and whatever insights that or things that I've worked through in my own life, I would just share with friends who go on to the podcast and all that. So like all of that going on. And then in 2020, that was when things got really weird. So I actually stepped up. I added the a oneness meditation. So like 3 times a week, I would really get together with a group of friends, and they were, I think because of that, so they're telling me that their feedback was that because of that, like 3 times a week, they were able to come together as a group to be able to process all of the weirdness that's been going on or I would say, well, a weirdness that's going on in the world. So that's that actually pulled a lot of people through, helped a lot of the regulars on the show, so they can really make sense of and don't feel as isolated as well through all of that.
I get it. We do it here. And my personal opinion is, and I've had with Morgan and without Morgan, apparitions appear. A couple apparitions appeared translucently. She witnessed. She was there. She was part of it. They walked into my body. We're all conduits to me. Jesus, Magdalene, Cryon, these are just metaphoric faces of the universe that are us.
Mm-hmm.
And the process is the stories, I think are relevant. But to me, because really we're all conduits, and what you described is really what's happening to everyone. We get something, it's our specialty, and we share it, and it's code. And I just I can totally see it. I see it every day. 3,000 shows. I've seen it. I've heard it conveyed so many times, but I still go back to the story is where the code is. The story, not from victim consciousness, but like your adventure. It's your adventure. Cryon and Jesus and Magdalene and all that. We all came into the world with that. The Arcturians. I don't think they're our future selves. I think they're our past selves. You know, I mean, it doesn't even matter. But
I like that. Yeah.
the reality that here's a woman who's 52, 53 years old. I started, it was 49. And you start to do these crazy things. Like it makes no sense. You know, it makes absolutely, I went on the streets for 2 years. You went to Morocco, Spain, and Italy, but in reality, it was the same thing, right? I mean, you were doing something in defiance of the social and family and norms. And to see you in your glory and your grace and your beauty and your power and your courage, tell this story and just laugh the whole way through. It's like, there you go. Like because to me the cherry on top is that that's why I'd asked that question about the ego, because I still see friends struggling with it, and I just say a prayer and just keep observing and remind myself, like you know, don't let it go. But to me, the way that to do that is to laugh about it. It really is. It's to laugh about, and it's not like a laugh, like a comedy. It's more like a laugh, almost like a reverence. The term "the gods are laughing." I always picture us like that. Like we're the gods and the goddesses up there watching our aspects down here in play, who take, like a little kid, take things so seriously, and yet, who's the best one that could have fooled you? Myself. It's such a humbling thing to see all of this energy that's just bombarded the earth in the last 10 years minimum, and yet to see people like you come through it with a smile on your face. Did your mom ever find out how weird you are?
No, she does not speak English.
Well, you better get ready, because there's so much technology. There's so much technology.
My brother and my sister. Well, not so much my sister. My sister is in Hong Kong, but my brother might see this, so I'd be a little careful.
That's what
he knows I'm
say.
crazy.
But that's what I was going to say, is that the technology is so strong now that your mom, all she's going to have to do is just load this video into a software.
Okay, Google Translate.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. Like even that story you're telling, where you're staying with someone in Italy, and you're using Google Translate.
Yes.
Like this is, you know what I mean? I mean, this is like, what? So you guys were at the end of the day both communicating energetically, and that's really whatever that looks like. But that's because everybody else, everyone's going to have a different experience with it. I mean, do you realize what you just said today? I mean, like, it's impressive. Don't get me wrong. It's impressive that you're visited from Cryon, or this person's visited, and then this channel comes out, and this information comes out, and this code that comes through the conduit awakens code in those that receive it. But to just take a moment and go, this woman, this Chinese descent woman who who is established, has her own home, sells her house, and goes to Morocco to live in a cult. No, I'm kidding. But goes to Morocco. But no, but this is it, because you skip. Because I know when you got over there and found out it wasn't what you thought it was supposed to be, you had to have gone and pulled your hair out, and then you kept going, and then you kept going. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, what we've done, what you've done in the last 10 years or whatever that is. I think it's become, we've forgotten. It's easy to forget. It's become the norm, right?
Yeah,
and according to the world, it's, well, I'd say half the people that have come on here have been in the psych ward or jail or jail, truly. So, I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
Of course, that your mother would probably, she'd probably either, illuminate and transcend to heaven, or, get a broom and start hitting you. I don't know.
Don't worry, I have my own broom. I fly around.
Yeah, you have your own broom. Do you think we'll see stuff like that soon? Do you think we'll see teleportation?
Broom flying around? Maybe.
Yeah. Whatever vehicle you want to use. Dragon riders. I feel like
I sure hope so. I absolutely sure hope so. And I was really happy to listen to Jason Estes talking about that the old story is ended. Now we're in the new movie, and we can create it as we want to. I actually felt that. I felt that shift in that from last week. All of a sudden, I just feel this opening. It was like, I made it. It was that. Yeah. It was that kind of energy. Yeah,
I agree.
So even though what we are seeing right now, it's so fucked up, but internally, I can feel it's like this opening that's just going to, it's just going to come out. It's like
yeah. I mean, and you're right. I think this is in the last week or so. I mean, I think it was the 21st of August, because Jason Franco, Yvonnya from Tasmania, there was about 5 or 6 of them that pointed to these dates. And I remember coming on and doing a live on the 21st solo, and said something's different. And it's just continued up, even like 2-3 days ago. I woke up out of lucid dream, and I was just like, I'm done with it. No more. Death is the biggest domino. It's knocked down. All the other ones go with it. But what does that mean? So it's funny, because when you write posts or you do videos or whatever, and you would know this, and you put something up from your heart, and then people come in and they want to correct you, and they want to, you know what I mean? They get lost in the semantics, and that's not the point to me. But now I think when you talk about this new world thing, it's not about what we've realized and left behind per se. It's about what's replaced it. What's replaced it now? You cleaned your vessel, you did the work, and Cryon comes in, or the Arcturians or the Pleiadians. I mean, I really feel like what's happened is we have reached our destination for takeoff.
Right? Yeah, I like the takeoff part. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like the future is for us to create however we feel like it.
Absolutely.
The sky is the limit.
And you know what? Every single moment, it's weird. Morgan pulled this down the other day. It's like repression and expansion are running side by side. And if you look at it, like you get messages, and you're interacting with people. It's telepathy's full blown. You can see the meaning no matter what the words say. And so somebody mentioned integrity. A friend of mine mentioned integrity today, and that's really it. personal integrity, the one where nobody knows what you do and you don't convince people and tell people what you do, but the universe knows. The universe knows. we are in full control of our own frequency, and may I and may you and all of us stay on the path of the highest, because karma is no longer a bitch. Karma is
no karma, period.
Karma's instant manifestation. You know what I mean? It's just a different choice that you made. That's all.
Yeah.
Wow, this is far out. This is Franco, my friend Greg. Several people have said early in the year, even at the end of last year, you will not recognize the world on December 31st from what it's been. And I really feel like that's going to happen in a lot of ways, distortion wise, but also personal expansion. Have your abilities expanded in proportion to the experience? And I don't mean linear wise. I just mean as you've gone through these motions. Obviously it has with the channeling that came in from Cryon.
I love energy. So that was my my into this, all of this the spirituality is I was looking around when I was in corporate doing systems. So I was working in computers my previous life, and my in was really energy. When the first time I felt energy running through my body, it was like, wow, beautiful energy. I never knew that this thing called energy existed. So that was the carrot that I've been dangling in front, and I've been going after that. And I think all of that now, it's like when I the feedback from the people who come to the channeling or come to the meditation, they felt the energy so strongly. And sometimes I have people who said that the energy was so strong they can't even it actually rattled them a bit. So I think in that way, yes, definitely my energy level and my ability to be able to transmit that energy to other people around me, whether it is through Zoom or just in person, that has amped up a lot. So where is that going to go? I don't know. I will find out.
I think it's all going to go to the same place, every one of us. I think we're just seeing ourselves and each other, and when we see that, particularly the truth frequency, because it's all truth frequency, it opens a code up in us. We are all different, but we're all the same, which is what, and here we go with the great universal paradox. Every time you think something's up, it's down. And then you find out, oh, it's both. Well, how does that work? Well, it doesn't work to the human mind, and we're never going to understand it from the human mind, but we're not only human.
I think more of that is definitely turning on is that I'm not paying as much attention to my human mind, and I'm paying more attention to the other, all of the other senses. So that is
Well, I think probably that's why obviously Franco and I are very close, and I think it's been we just hit 2 years doing shows together, so we've probably done, what is that?
How many Fridays have that been?
Well, it's 102 weeks, right? Or 104 weeks, and he comes on twice a month. So that would be, it's a lot. But I think one of the there's a lot of reasons, but I really like his explanation. Again, understanding that we're trying to put words and stories and metaphors to an energy, but and that is that the inverted matrix got turned off in January 2020, and as a result of that, and it looks that way. And if you look at Jason's intel and his chronology and the sequential aspect of a lot of people's different transmissions, and how they're converging. Everything is becoming freer. There is no loop of the projection. The only parts of it left are what's the residual in our own essence, which we're helping each other by, you know, our intention to serve, really, and to love, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy at times. But somebody came on the other day and they're like, "Oh, this happened to me, and that happened to me, and this happened to me," and oh yeah, it was a friend of mine. He's like, 90 days. I thought I was good. 2021 starts, and I go into 120 days of just dark night of the soul. But he said at the end, he said, but through it all, there's a part of me going, man, this is really happening, and it feels good, and it's not going to go away. You can feel it. It's innate. Yeah. But the laughing, you know, I think is important, because we do tend to take ourselves pretty seriously sometimes. And, you know, rightfully so. Rightfully so.
We've been trained to take it seriously for so long. So it's good to, actually, I was listening to, who was that? Skylar, Christy, and then Jamie, the three girls that were talking about paging hot walk-ins. It was hilarious. And they were younger people. It's so good to see people talking and laughing, because it's I don't have a lot of that as a model around me. Like my mom was like always serious. You have to, you know, apply yourself, blah blah blah, all that.
Yeah, that generation.
I really apply myself now.
But think about the I mean, you know, look, in this community, in these communities, you hear way shower and 144 and this and that. And you know what? That stuff may or may not be true. And it really doesn't matter. You know, just look at our parents. I mean, many of our parents were post depression, maybe born in the 30s or the 40s. I mean, these people, you might say, oh, they were asleep and they got duped. And hey, that was us, you know? I mean, they went and set the table here, right? How would we know what we will come to find out what freedom and sovereignty and so on and so on and so on is if we didn't have anything to contrast it to, right? I mean,
I have a lot of respect for them, because my mom lived through a war. It's like I couldn't even think of what I would be like if I had been walking through a war zone. It was like, wow, she made it and still alive today. A little traumatized, but she made it.
I would imagine.
I'm not sure how I would have reacted if I had to do something like that.
There's a book that came out about 4 years ago, and they just made a documentary on it, and I think it's on Prime Video. If it's not, it's Netflix, but I think it's Prime Video, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically this story about how it was post World War II, and it may not have been post or during, because I thought it was the Japanese. Yeah, it was Japanese troops going into China. And they went to a particular village, and this girl that wrote it, I believe, was a Chinese Canadian. If not, she was an American Chinese. Her parents, you know, had to come from China. But anyway, it was the most, and I'm sitting here going, why am I watching this? But it was profound. And the atrocities, they even talked to the soldiers, and these men were probably like 80 and 90, that committed the atrocities, and I won't get into what they were, but my point is this: no way I would have been the first one shot. I would have been the first one to try to kill I mean, you know, no way. Now the girl that wrote the book because of the impact that it had on her, she actually committed suicide.
Okay.
And it was like a bestseller. And now it's a great documentary. But the point being, what you're saying about your mom, we think we got something to bitch about. Fuck that shit. How would you like to have some of that stuff go down? And how do you know it's not going to? So maybe we all ought to maybe wake up a little bit, and have a laugh.
Yeah, it was they lived in a very different time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And
Way
so
showers.
just like now we are walking to a very different time as well.
Absolutely. It's just as to me, it's just like, I don't know. You look at Dolores Cannon's work, there's 3 waves. Well, maybe that's the only wave she was privy to. No disrespect to her. But this, the universe is endless. And there's, and it's all about, and every bit of it has been built. If we look at it from the perspective of the universe that we are, for us to expand and to pick up.
So very grateful that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yeah. Even though I was just thinking of an old story. I'm not going to tell it, but no, you're right though. And but we are the giants too, right? I mean, that there was a lady on the other day. It was fascinating. Emmanuel, I can't remember her last name. And we're talking Immaculate Conception. We're talking Mayan. We're talking divine weddings with deities. We're talking about a child that was born that lived at 2.5 years old. We're talking about a woman who sat here and told this incredible story, shed a few tears, but you could tell she was on it the whole time. She got it. And not only that, but there's more and more of them waking up. I mean, I don't think it's anymore about what's behind the veil. I mean, like we think it's going to be something that's just in front of us that we got a little hint of because they're disclosing things. I think it's beyond that. I think it's going to be the dragon riders, the magicians, the alchemists, the new stories too, not the old ones, the new stories. So it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
I know it is. Absolutely it is. And now that so have you met Franco? I guess you have in Toronto. You have because you're in Toronto. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we actually went to his place.
Yeah.
Last weekend for powwow.
Oh, cool! Very cool. Well, him
it
and
was
Kimberly.
really good to see the old gang. It was really lovely.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, him and Kimberly stayed at the condo in Sedona. They've been gifted to us for a couple nights. We spent because we did Soulogy Fest together, but we got to spend 48 hours together, and then I got booted out of Sedona. But yeah, just amazing. 2 amazing souls. Just absolutely incredible. And a lot of people don't realize how powerful Kimberly is. But like begets like. So
it's not easy being Kimberly because it's not like wonderful as Franco is. He's no angel to live with 24/7. Nobody is.
I've seen
Kimberly.
Yeah, hey, you know what? She's a rock, and I've seen him soften in the 2 years I've known him, and it's amazing because like since Soulogy Fest, he'll come on and people will make comments. They'll say, "Franco, you look younger. Franco, you're looking really good." His whole countenance has changed. It's like the little boy has come out to play. Right?
Yeah, the energy is more supportive.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I think these that come in as full-blown ETs, they have a difficult time being human. It's funny because the last show we did was about 2 hours, and I got knocked off, which wasn't a coincidence. And he's standing there by himself. I'm watching him on the
I
other screen.
saw that.
Did you see that? And then I asked him, "Can I just have one question for you? Given everything that you know and that you've known, because he's known since a womb, other planetary incarnations and this and that and all that. Why did you?" And of course, setting things up 13,000 years ago in the engineering team and all that stuff, right? Why did you come and why did you stay? And I could take all that incredible information that he talked about in the first hour and 50 minutes, and I would trade it out for the last 6 minutes of what he said. And it wasn't even what he said, it was the frequency that he generated. And I see that every day. I see it with you, and I see it with more and more people. And it's very validating now.
I had an experience once. It was in meditation. I was meditating, and all of a sudden the scenery just changed, and I felt my soul left my body. I was just going through, and all I could see is just clouds. It's like I was just flying in the air. And every now and then I would see these white castles. I would see a whole bunch of this, and then another whole bunch, more clouds, and then all of a sudden I went through a space where it was just gray clouds, just miles and miles of gray clouds, and then all of a sudden stopped. And I was asking, so where are we now? And the voice I heard was, "We're home." And I was like bawling at that time. It was like, and then I very quickly thought of, okay, so what about money? What about relationships? Like all of these issues that has been plaguing my life, and I just thought of them, and in a split second, and all of a sudden they just melted away. So I had a glimpse of what being at a much higher vibration really is like what we think of as being monumental hurdles is nothing.
No,
when
it's
you
not.
know that, when you look at it from a different point of view, it's nothing.
Yeah,
I
think
think
that's why a lot of our teams laugh at us.
Yes, I know.
They do. They laugh at us. Well, and look, what you're describing, I've had two out of body experiences. They might have been near death experiences. What's the difference? Okay, really, what's the difference? I mean, but that's the feeling people talk about. People have these experiences. If they have a Christian perspective, they say, "I went to heaven. I talked to Jesus," or whatever the case is. But it's or an angel, or even ETs. Okay, so there's always this feeling of peace and love, and obviously a higher. But again, everything we've created for our own personal development. Last thing, Mary Rodwell, you've seen her on the show, Mary Rodwell? She's out of Australia. She's been doing this since the 90s. She's been establishing groups since the 90s and reaching out to people, writing books who have been so-called abducted, right? Well, now she works with kids all around the world and professionals. She's one of the OGs, original goddesses in the physical that are walking the earth. But she was telling me a few months ago on a show, she said that she had a group of acquaintances or contemporaries that were at a university, and they were doing a study on people that have shamanic experiences. So then they went and got another target group of people that had been, quote unquote, abducted. All right. Now, long story short, the product, the information that came out as a result of these two target groups, where they ended was the same place. Everyone, the general consensus is that it was a spiritual awakening and expansion. So, the universe has many faces, and I think this experiment seems to be, from what everybody's feeling, the first of its kind. Right? We're doing it in the flesh. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is really staying in our body and just growing, just this melting of the soul in the body, and just bringing the body up to, so that the body is not limited anymore, because we've been taught the body is limited. It's not. Our consciousness is limited, not the body. So being able to live through that experience of, when we shift our consciousness, our body starts to shift.
Yeah.
And when our consciousness get to be limitless, our body will be limitless as well.
I agree. There's two of you.
Oh,
sorry about that. No, I agree. I it's a physical Merkaba. So that's all. That's the only difference. And the only thing that's keeping us from doing that are these belief systems that we have based on this illusion that we created. So it's like Stockholm syndrome. Like how can you fix a problem created by the Matrix with the devices of the Matrix, right?
Yep.
If the Matrix says you can't fly from here to Australia with a magic carpet, do I accept that truth, or do I go into my imagination and into my alchemic laboratory and create one? Right? I mean, that's the kind of stuff on the other side of the veil. That's what I was referring to earlier. It's not, is there a secret
That's on my
space
list. That's on my bucket list.
Yeah. That's on my
magic
list too.
carpet.
That's on my list. Mine's a fuck it. Mine's a fuck it list, because fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. It's not gonna be like some. Yeah, to me, the bucket list is a 3D device. I'm gonna go with the fuck it list. That's a 5D device. Excuse my French. I'm totally out of my body this whole show. And thank you for helping me ground. I love you. I love your story. I love your energy, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you very much for having me. I love you too.
You're very welcome, and we'll be back in, I believe, an hour and a half with somebody.
Okay, looking forward to that.
I don't even know. The next time you go to Franco's, though, what you should do, and I'll talk to Kimberly, if a little group of you get over there, we should put it on camera and share it through the platform. Yeah.
Okay. I will see. Bye.